Have you ever stopped to think about what could truly happen in just 6 months if you gave it your absolute best? 6 months, that's 180 days, 320 hours. And yet most people spend those hours drifting, scrolling, reacting, waiting for the right time. But the truth is, success doesn't need a lifetime. It needs direction, commitment, and consistent execution every single day. What you do in the next 6 months can redefine who you become in the next 6 years. Imagine this 6 months from now, you wake up and barely recognize the person in the mirror. You're more confident, disciplined, and fulfilled, not because you found some magic formula, but because you built a structure, a plan, and a mindset that demanded your best self every day. That's what this blueprint is about. It's not motivation, it's method. It's not inspiration, it's instruction. The first step in your 6-month journey is clarity. You cannot chase what you haven't clearly defined. Most people think they want success, but they can't describe what that looks like for them. Success without definition is like trying to hit a target blindfolded. Take a moment today, yes, today, to define what massive success means for you. Is it financial growth, a new skill, better health, stronger relationships? You can't improve what you can't identify. Once clarity is set, the second step is structure. Goals without structure dissolve into wishful thinking. Break your 6 months into 360-day segments. In the first 60 days, you focus on learning and foundation. The next 60 days are for implementation and refinement. The final 60 are for mastery and scaling. This structure ensures momentum. It creates checkpoints for progress and accountability. But even with structure, the third ingredient is discipline. Discipline is not about motivation. It's about commitment when motivation disappears. Some days will test your patience. Some days will make you doubt your path. That's when discipline becomes your greatest ally. Treat your habits like sacred appointments. Show up even when you don't feel like it, because those are the moments that separate dreamers from doers. Now comes the fourth phase, adaptability. The world will not adjust to your plan. Circumstances will change. People will disappoint you. Unexpected challenges will appear. But adaptability means you bend without breaking. You adjust your methods without losing your mission. If you can stay flexible while keeping your vision firm, no setback can derail your growth. And finally, the fifth and most powerful step, reflection. Every 30 days, stop and assess what worked, what failed, what did I learn? Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Without reflection, you repeat the same mistakes. With it, you refine your system and grow exponentially faster. Reflection is not about guilt, it's about guidance. Here's the truth: in 6 months, you can completely rewire your life. But it won't happen by accident. It will happen because you decide to stop living reactively and start living intentionally. Massive success is not a miracle, it's math. 6 months of focused effort, consistent habits, and reflective growth equals transformation. So today, don't wait for a perfect moment. Build your plan. Start with clarity, structure your actions, commit with discipline, adapt to change, and reflect often. 6 months from now, the version of you who stayed consistent will thank the version of you who decided to begin today. 5 key notes of the speech: clarity creates direction. You can chase success you haven't clearly defined. Structure sustains focus. Break 6 months into clear phases of growth and execution. Discipline outlasts motivation. Consistency matters more than inspiration. Adaptability ensures survival. Stay flexible when life challenges your plan. Reflection accelerates growth. Regular self-assessment turns effort into evolution. Clarity creates direction. It sounds simple, almost too simple to matter. Yet it is the most underestimated foundation of success. Most people set out on the journey of achievement with passion but no precision. They are filled with energy but lack aim. And the result, they spend months, sometimes years, running fast in circles, mistaking movement for progress. Clarity is what turns motion into momentum. It's the invisible compass that ensures every step you take actually moves you closer to your vision instead of further away from it. Without clarity, even the hardest work becomes scattered, and even the best opportunities can be wasted. When you ask someone what they want in life, most will say things like, I want to be successful, I want to be happy, or I want to make an impact. But these are not goals, they are wishes. They lack definition, measurement, and emotional connection. Clarity transforms vague desires into specific targets. It means saying, in the next 6 months, I want to earn this much, learn this skill, or complete this milestone. It's turning the abstract into the achievable. When you define success in concrete terms, your brain starts finding ways to get there. You begin to notice opportunities, people, and patterns that align with your vision. That's the power of clarity. It focuses your energy like a lens focuses light. Clarity also simplifies decision-making. Every day you are bombarded with choices: what to prioritize, where to invest your time, who to spend your energy on. Without clarity, every decision feels heavy because you don't know what truly matters. But when you have a clear goal, choices become easier. You start asking, does this bring me closer to my 6-month target or not? If the answer is no, you eliminate it without guilt. This mental filter is one of the greatest productivity tools you can have. It frees you from distractions disguised as opportunities. But clarity doesn't just live in the mind, it lives in writing. Writing your goals forces your thoughts into focus. When you write down your 6-month blueprint, you take ownership of your direction. You can see your goals, measure them, and hold yourself accountable to them. The process of writing also reveals inconsistencies. It helps you realize whether what you say you want actually aligns with what you're willing to do. For example, saying you want to be financially independent in 6 months is powerful, but writing the exact steps required exposes whether you're ready to put in the effort. Clarity demands honesty. It asks you to face your truth and commit to a path that reflects it. There's another hidden aspect to clarity: emotional connection. You must know not only what you want, but why you want it. The why gives your goal depth. It gives your actions meaning. Without an emotional reason behind your pursuit, you'll give up at the first sign of resistance. Clarity rooted in emotion creates resilience. When your goal becomes personally significant, every challenge becomes a test of purpose, not just patience. So when you build your 6-month blueprint, don't stop at the what. Ask yourself why it matters, who it affects, and what it will mean to you once it's done. That emotional anchor will hold you steady through the storms of inconsistency and doubt. Another truth about clarity is that it evolves. The more you grow, the more your understanding of success deepens. What seemed important in the first month may lose meaning by the third. That's not failure, that's refinement. Every experience you go through will sharpen your clarity. You may realize that what you truly wanted wasn't the goal itself, but the feeling it represented: freedom, confidence, peace, or contribution. When you understand this, clarity becomes less about chasing outcomes and more about aligning your actions with your values. You stop trying to achieve everything and start focusing on the few things that matter most. Clarity also requires courage, because once you define what you want, you expose what you don't want. You might have to distance yourself from certain people, habits, or environments that no longer fit your direction. That's uncomfortable. But that discomfort is the price of progress. When you commit to a clear vision, you declare that you're no longer available for distractions. You're no longer living on default. You're living by design. And that shift changes everything. Finally, clarity breeds confidence. When you know where you're going, uncertainty doesn't scare you. It sharpens you. You stop seeking approval because your path is your own. Each day feels purposeful because every action is tied to a larger mission. You wake up with a sense of intention, and you end each day knowing that your energy wasn't wasted. 6 months of living with that kind of clarity can transform not only your results, but your identity. You stop being someone who hopes to succeed and become someone who knows where they're headed. That's the kind of inner strength that fuels massive success. Clarity is not a one-time act, it's a daily practice. Every morning, remind yourself what matters most. Every evening, reflect on whether your actions match your intentions. Over time, this habit builds a laser-focused mindset that cuts through confusion and complacency. When you operate from clarity, you don't need motivation to move. You move because your direction is undeniable. And that, more than anything else, is what turns a 6-month plan into a life-changing reality. Structure sustains focus. It's the framework that turns dreams into deliverables, intentions into impact. Without structure, even the most passionate person will eventually lose direction. It's easy to feel inspired at the beginning of a journey, to write big goals, to feel unstoppable, but inspiration is like, without structure, that spark fades before it can become a flame. Structure is what keeps the fire alive. It's the difference between having a vision and having a system, because a goal without a structure is just a wish waiting to be forgotten. When you decide to pursue massive success in 6 months, the first thing you must realize is that success doesn't come from intensity alone, it comes from consistency. And consistency is born from structure. Imagine a builder trying to construct a skyscraper without blueprints. No matter how skilled or hardworking they are, chaos will win. The same principle applies to your life. You can't build a future on random effort. You need a plan, a framework, and measurable milestones. Structure creates rhythm in your actions. It ensures that every day contributes to something larger than itself. When you divide your 6-month journey into smaller, focused phases, you create clarity of purpose at every stage. Think of your blueprint as 3 60-day chapters. The first phase is about learning and laying the foundation, understanding your craft, your habits, and your weaknesses. The second phase is where you implement what you've learned, testing, adjusting, and refining your methods. The final phase is mastery, sustaining what works and scaling your success. This phase structure prevents overwhelm because it gives your journey shape. You no longer look at the entire mountain. You focus on one climb at a time. That's how focus is sustained. Structure also protects you from distraction. A world full of noise every day brings new temptations, new goals, new trends, new comparisons. Without structure, your energy gets scattered. You find yourself chasing everything and catching nothing. But when you have a schedule, a daily system, and a roadmap, distractions lose their power. You can say no with confidence because you already have a clear, wise. Structure becomes your silent discipline. It holds you accountable even when motivation disappears. There's something powerful about waking up each morning knowing exactly what needs to be done. You don't waste mental energy deciding where to start. You just execute. That's what structure gives you, a plan that removes confusion and hesitation. The human brain thrives on order. When you establish routines, you free up mental bandwidth for creativity, problem solving, and growth. For example, if you commit to working on your main goal for 1 focused hour every morning, that single habit can compound over time. 1 hour a day for 6 months equals 180 hours of progress. Structure multiplies your small actions into big outcomes. But structure isn't just about time management, it's about energy management. You must learn to align your structure with your natural rhythm. Pay attention to when you feel most focused, creative, or energized during the day. Build your schedule around those peaks. Use your best hours for your most meaningful work. Don't fight your biology, structure it. The most successful people don't work nonstop. They work smart within a system that supports their strengths. Structure turns effort into efficiency. Many people fear structure because they think it limits freedom. But the truth is, structure creates freedom. When your priorities are clear, you gain control over your time, you can enjoy your rest because your work has purpose. You can say no to distractions without guilt because your plan is guiding you. Freedom without structure leads to chaos. Structure with purpose leads to mastery. The most fulfilling life is one where discipline and direction work together to support your dreams. Another key aspect of structure is accountability. It's not enough to make a plan. You must track your progress. Every week, measure what you've done. Celebrate your wins, but also review where you fell short. Adjust, refine, and improve. A structured system thrives on feedback. You don't need perfection, you need consistency and awareness. Structure keeps you moving forward even when emotions fluctuate. It's your anchor when motivation fades and your map when obstacles arise. Think of structure as the scaffolding that supports your growth. Without it, you collapse under pressure. With it, you rise higher than you imagined. It gives you the power to turn chaos into order, uncertainty into action, and goals into reality. Every great athlete, artist, or entrepreneur you admire operates within a structure. Their success isn't random, it's rehearsed, repeated, and refined. They have morning routines, progress journals, reflection times, and accountability systems. They don't wait for clarity. They create it through structured effort. In your own 6-month blueprint, structure will be your greatest ally. It will keep you focused when excitement fades and grounded when distractions arise. Each day will have a purpose, each week a milestone, each month a transformation. You'll start to notice that structure doesn't restrict your growth, it channels it. It helps you build discipline one routine at a time, and eventually those routines become your identity. When you look back after 6 months, you won't just see a list of completed goals. You'll see a life built on systems that last. Because true success isn't achieved once, it's maintained through structure. Every great achievement stands on a foundation of organized effort, consistent habits, and clear focus. Structure isn't the enemy of ambition, it's the engine that drives it forward. Discipline outlasts motivation. It's the bridge between goals and achievements, the invisible force that carries you forward when excitement fades and obstacles multiply. Motivation feels good. It gives you that initial push, that surge of energy to start something new. But motivation is emotional. It rises and falls like the tide. Discipline, on the other hand, is steady. It shows up whether the sun shines or it rains, whether you feel inspired or exhausted. If motivation is the spark, discipline is the engine. It doesn't rely on feeling ready, it relies on commitment. In any 6-month journey toward massive success, there will come a point where the excitement of starting wears off. The new routine becomes tiring, the work feels repetitive, the results aren't visible yet. That's the moment most people quit. Not because they lack potential, but because they lack discipline. They depend too much on how they feel instead of what they've promised themselves to do. Discipline is the art of following through long after the mood that started the journey has left. It's waking up early when your body begs for sleep, showing up when no one's watching, and pushing forward even when the reward seems distant. The truth is, discipline is rarely glamorous. It's built in quiet, unseen moments. Choosing to read instead of scroll, to train instead of complain, to focus instead of drift. It's the small, consistent actions that compound into extraordinary outcomes. Many people look at high achievers and assume they're more talented or more motivated, but what separates them is their relationship with discipline. They've learned to do what needs to be done, especially when they don't feel like doing it. They don't wait for perfect conditions because they know perfection never arrives. They simply act. Discipline also creates structure for your emotions. It teaches you to act with purpose rather than impulse. When you train your mind to follow a plan, you stop being a victim of moods. You no longer negotiate with laziness or doubt. You just execute. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen your mental muscles. You build a kind of inner power that no setback can break. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you practice discipline, the stronger it becomes. And with time, what once felt difficult becomes natural. The tasks that used to require motivation become automatic habits. That's the quiet transformation discipline brings. However, discipline isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. You will stumble, you will have off days. You might break your streak or fall short of your goals. But discipline isn't measured by never failing. It's measured by how quickly you return. It's the decision to start again every time you fall. A disciplined person doesn't see failure as final. They see it as feedback. They learn, adjust, and continue. That's what allows them to stay on the path long enough to see real results. Because in the end, success isn't about speed. It's about endurance. Discipline also frees you from decision fatigue. When you build routines, you remove the need to constantly choose what to do next. You've already decided in advance. That's why disciplined people appear calm and confident. They've simplified their lives around what matters most. Their priorities are fixed. Their habits are aligned with their goals. When you know what time you'll wake up, when you'll work, when you'll learn, and when you'll rest, you create rhythm. And rhythm sustains focus. That rhythm is what carries you through the days when energy is low and distractions are high. It's important to understand that discipline is not punishment. It's empowerment. It's the recognition that you are in control of your choices, even when circumstances are difficult. Many people confuse discipline with restriction, but it's the opposite. Discipline gives you freedom, the freedom to grow, to achieve, to live without regret. When you live with discipline, you stop being controlled by external forces. You stop chasing every impulse. You start living intentionally. You begin to experience a deeper satisfaction, the kind that comes from knowing you're doing what's right for your future self. One of the greatest advantages of discipline is momentum. The hardest part of any goal is starting. But once you start and you stay consistent, your efforts begin to multiply. Each disciplined day adds to the previous one. Over time, your habits build an unbreakable chain of progress. Momentum takes over, and suddenly, what once required force becomes effortless. You move forward not because you have to, but because it feels unnatural to stop. That's the hidden gift of discipline. It builds a self-sustaining system of growth. When you practice discipline daily, it reshapes your identity. You stop identifying as someone who trees and start seeing yourself as someone who does. That shift changes everything. It's not about forcing yourself anymore. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally follows through. Every act of discipline reinforces your belief that you can be trusted with your goals. And when you trust yourself, confidence follows. You no longer need external validation because your actions prove your commitment. In 6 months, discipline can transform every part of your life. It can strengthen your focus, sharpen your habits, and build resilience you didn't know you had. It teaches you to stay steady in a world that's constantly distracted. It gives you control over your time, your energy, and your destiny. Most importantly, it reminds you that greatness doesn't come from what you do once in a while. It comes from what you do every single day, especially when no one is watching. Adaptability ensures survival. In the pursuit of success, plans will fail, circumstances will shift, and life will test your flexibility. You can design the most detailed 6-month blueprint, but if you expect everything to unfold exactly as planned, you're setting yourself up for frustration. The truth is, success doesn't belong to those who have the perfect plan. It belongs to those who can adjust the plan when reality demands it. Adaptability is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the ability to stay focused on your goal while being flexible with your approach. It's about bending without breaking, moving forward even when the road changes direction. When you begin any major goal, it's natural to feel confident. You've set your targets, built your structure, and committed to discipline. But then unexpected challenges appear. Maybe your environment shifts, resources change, or your personal circumstances evolve. Most people freeze in those moments. They cling to their original plan because it feels safe. But adaptability teaches you that the plan was never meant to be permanent. It was meant to guide you. The best strategies are living systems. They evolve with new information. You must learn to treat every obstacle not as a barrier, but as feedback. When something doesn't work, it's not failure, it's instruction. It's life saying, try another way. Adaptability begins with mindset. Many people mistake control for strength. They believe that holding on tightly means they're committed. But real strength lies in knowing when to pivot. Think about nature. Trees survive storms because they bend with the wind, not because they resist it. The same principle applies to growth. You cannot fight change and expect to thrive. Instead, you must learn to flow with it, to use it. Every challenge you face in your 6-month journey carries within it a lesson, a redirection, or an opportunity to evolve. Adaptable people don't panic when things go wrong. They observe, adjust, and keep moving. Adaptability also means being willing to unlearn. Sometimes what got you here won't get you there. The habits, beliefs, or methods that once served you may no longer fit the next phase of your journey. That's a difficult truth because it requires humility. You must be willing to admit that something you once valued deeply is now outdated. But that humility is what keeps you growing. The world changes fast. Technology, industries, even mindsets evolve daily. To succeed, you must stay curious and open. Learn, relearn, and let go of what no longer works. The person who can adapt faster than others will always have an advantage, no matter the field. Adaptability also sharpens your emotional resilience. When life surprises you, and it will, how you respond determines your progress. Some people let obstacles destroy their motivation, while others use the same obstacles to build their strength. The difference lies in perspective. Adaptable people don't ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, what is this trying to teach me? That simple shift turns frustration into fuel. Every difficulty becomes a classroom, every setback a teacher. With that mindset, even failure becomes useful. Because each time you adapt and recover, you grow tougher, wiser, and more capable of handling future challenges. In your 6-month blueprint, adaptability is what keeps momentum alive. No matter how well you plan, there will be disruptions, unexpected deadlines, personal issues, health setbacks, or external changes. The question isn't whether these things will happen, it's how you'll respond when they do. The adaptable person doesn't abandon their goal at the first sign of disruption. They pause, reassess, and redesign their path. Maybe you plan to exercise in the mornings, but your schedule changed, so you shift to evenings. Maybe your business strategy didn't work, so you test a new one. The key is to keep moving forward. Even if your route changes, that's what keeps progress alive. Adaptability also fuels creativity. When things don't go according to plan, your mind is forced to think differently. It starts finding new routes, new solutions, and better ideas. Many great innovations in history were born out of failure or unexpected turns. When people couldn't do things the old way, they created a new way. In your own journey, challenges will often push you toward breakthroughs. Adaptability transforms obstacles into openings. It teaches you that flexibility and creativity are two sides of the same coin. The more adaptable you are, the more resourceful you become. One of the greatest signs of adaptability is calmness and uncertainty. Most people panic when the future feels unpredictable. But those who are adaptable understand that uncertainty is not the enemy. It's the natural environment of growth. You can't predict every outcome, but you can prepare yourself to handle anything. When you build the mindset that says, no matter what happens, I'll find a way, you gain unshakable confidence. You stop fearing change because you know you can adjust. That confidence creates stability even in chaos. Adaptability also builds trust with yourself and with others. When you prove to yourself that you can handle change, your self-belief deepens. You stop doubting your ability to survive challenges. You start trusting your instincts and creativity. And when people around you see that you remain composed and proactive under pressure, they begin to trust your leadership. Adaptable individuals become anchors in unpredictable environments. They guide others not by resisting change, but by navigating it wisely. In every great success story, adaptability is the silent strength behind the scenes. Plans fail, markets shift, people leave, but the adaptable individual always finds a way to rise. They understand that progress is not linear. It's a constant dance between intention and adjustment. Every obstacle is an invitation to grow smarter, faster, and more resilient. And in the end, it's not the strongest or the most intelligent who thrive. It's the ones who can adapt, evolve, and keep moving no matter what stands in their way. Reflection accelerates growth. It is the process that turns experience into wisdom, effort into insight, and action into understanding. Without reflection, even the hardest work can lose meaning because progress without awareness is just movement. Reflection gives your journey depth. It allows you to step back, evaluate what's working, and learn from what's not. In a world obsessed with doing more, reflection reminds you that sometimes growth doesn't come from doing. It comes from thinking about what you've done. It's the quiet pause that transforms your 6-month plan from a checklist into a journey of mastery. When you're chasing success, it's easy to fall into the trap of constant action. You wake up, follow your routine, complete your tasks, and move to the next day. But without reflection, you risk running the wrong direction with great speed. Reflection forces you to ask the questions that matter. Am I improving? Is my effort aligned with my goal? What can I do better? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are essential. Reflection turns mistakes into lessons and lessons into strategy. It prevents you from repeating the same errors under the illusion of progress. Reflection also builds self-awareness. It reveals patterns in your behavior, why you procrastinate, where you lose focus, and what motivates you. You begin to notice that success isn't just about external progress, but internal understanding. Maybe you discover that you're most productive in the morning, or that certain distractions always derail your focus. Without taking time to reflect, these truths remain hidden. Reflection shines light on the blind spots that limit growth. It helps you see not only what you're doing, but who you're becoming in the process. In your 6-month blueprint for success, reflection should be a regular practice, not an afterthought. It's not something you do only at the end. It's something you do throughout. Every week, every month, take time to review your actions. Write down what went right, what went wrong, and what needs adjustment. This habit creates awareness and accountability. It allows you to correct your course before small issues become big setbacks. Many people fail not because they lack effort, but because they never pause to evaluate whether their effort is moving them closer to their goal. Reflection keeps your actions aligned with your purpose. Reflection also deepens gratitude. When you look back, you see how far you've come. Even if you haven't reached your destination yet, it's easy to focus on what's missing, but reflection shifts your attention to what's improving. That sense of gratitude fuels motivation. You realize that progress, no matter how small, is still progress. It keeps you humble, grounded, and aware of your own growth. Gratitude born from reflection makes the journey more meaningful because it reminds you that success isn't only about achieving, it's about evolving. There's another side to reflection that many overlook. It strengthens emotional intelligence. When you reflect on how you handled certain situations, you start to understand your emotions better. You learn what triggers your frustration, what lifts your confidence, and how your mindset affects your decisions. That awareness gives you control. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding intentionally. Over time, reflection helps you make better choices, not just in your goals, but in your relationships, your work, and your personal development. The more you understand yourself, the more effectively you can lead yourself. Reflection also builds resilience. When you face challenges, your mind tends to focus on what went wrong. But through reflection, you can reframe failure as feedback. You begin to see every setback as a teacher. That shift in perspective makes you stronger. Instead of feeling defeated, You become analytical. You ask, what can I learn from this? This approach turns obstacles into opportunities. Reflection doesn't erase pain, but it gives it purpose. You find meaning in your struggles, and that meaning gives you the strength to keep going. In the pursuit of massive success, time moves fast. Days blur into weeks, and before you know it, months have passed. Reflection is what slows time down. It allows you to capture lessons before they slip away. Every 30 days, take an honest look at your journey. What did you accomplish? What didn't work? Where can you improve? Write it down. Patterns emerge. You start noticing that some actions create bigger results than others. That awareness helps you optimize your effort. Reflection saves you time in the long run because it teaches you what truly matters. Reflection also reconnects you with your purpose. In the business of chasing goals, it's easy to forget why you started. Reflection brings you back to that original reason. It reminds you of the values behind your ambition. When you reconnect with your why, your motivation reignites. You stop moving out of habit and start moving with meaning. Purpose fuels persistence, and reflection keeps that purpose alive. It's the checkpoint that ensures your actions still align with your deeper intentions. Finally, reflection builds wisdom, the kind that can't be learned from books or lectures. It's the wisdom born from experience, observation, and honest evaluation. The people who grow the fastest aren't necessarily the ones who do the most. They're the ones who learn the most from what they do. Reflection accelerates that learning curve. It turns every day into a lesson, every mistake into a mentor, every victory into a stepping stone. Over 6 months, reflection transforms your effort into understanding, and your understanding into mastery. Without reflection, you may reach your goals but never understand what truly made them possible. With reflection, you gain both success and self-knowledge. And that self-knowledge is what ensures that your growth doesn't stop when the 6 months end. It continues, deepens, and expands into everything you do thereafter. In the end, your 6-month blueprint for massive success is not just a plan, it's a personal revolution. It's a commitment to take control of your growth, your habits, and your mindset. These 6 months can redefine the trajectory of your life if you treat every day with purpose. When you live with clarity, you know exactly what you're working toward. When you build structure, your focus finds direction. When you practice discipline, you create consistency that outlasts motivation. When you stay adaptable, you turn challenges into opportunities. And when you reflect, you transform experience into wisdom. Each of these principles strengthens the next, forming a complete cycle of growth. Massive success doesn't come from waiting for the perfect time. It comes from deciding that now is the time. Every great transformation starts with a single decision, a single day of action, and a willingness to stay the course when it gets hard. The next 6 months will pass anyway, but what they become depends on how you choose to use them. You can either let them drift by or make them the 6 months that changed everything. So take a deep breath, set your goal, and start today. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for motivation. Begin with clarity, move with discipline, adapt with courage, and reflect with purpose. 6 months from now, you'll look back not just at what you achieved, but at who you became, and you'll realize that the person you were waiting to become has been inside you all along, waiting for you to begin.